Yeah, just knowledge. Knowledge is power, and just informing people. I always like to say, inquire before you wire. So before you make any kind of
That's
wire.
a great
right?
statement.
You know, I was a kindergarten teacher before, so anything
Were you
like
really?
this.
Oh, that's great.
So we have episode 4 of Selling in Brevard with the McKnight team, Compass. And we have, of course, Amanda McKnight, our team lead with the McKnight team Compass, and I'm Christine Staley with the McKnight team Compass. And we have invited Bailey Canales today. She's a licensed title agent with Celebration Title Group. And welcome, Bailey.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. It's so fun being here.
And we're hoping that we can explore the world of title for our buyers and sellers that are listening, and hopefully answer a lot of questions that maybe, they haven't had the chance to ask, and we'll take care of that here today.
Absolutely. Well, I hope you guys have your coffee, because title insurance is not the most glamorous part of the real estate transactions, but we will get right into it.
But it's important.
Yes, absolutely.
Super important.
And our first question is, Bailey, would you describe the role that title companies play in our real estate transactions here in Brevard, and specifically with Celebration Title Group?
Yeah, so traditionally, title companies kind of come in at the last leg of the race. I say that we're kind of the chaos coordinators, so we kind of facilitate all of the moving pieces as far as both sides of the transaction, being buyer and seller, their real estate agents, lenders, if there's a lender involved. We're in communication with surveyors, inspection companies, all of the things that are involved within the last legs of the race of the transaction. We kind of put all of the pieces together to coordinate and facilitate the closing. So a lot of times that looks like a 30-day close once you sign the contract. A lot of times it's sooner too. So for me specifically, I like to be involved right in the beginning of the transaction. So here in Brevard County, it's typical for the seller to pay for the owner's title insurance policy. So in turn, that's who dictates who closes the transaction. So for me personally, again, I like to be involved from the very beginning. So as soon as the real estate agent takes the listing is kind of when I jump in and start doing my title work and searching the back chains of title through the public records.
Isn't that something called like the pre-title?
Exactly. So we order, as soon as the real estate agent takes the listing, we order the pre-title search. That way we can really be proactive instead of, being under the time constraints of a contract. We can really be proactive ahead of time and see if there's anything that kind of comes up that maybe the seller wasn't expecting or didn't know was on their property, or something even prior to when they own the property that we would need to clear to pass on clear title to the buyers.
Yeah, I think we've done that in the past, ordered that pre-title, and it's very helpful for our sellers that are planning to list.
Oh, absolutely. There's things that come up all the time. Forgery. If you inherit a property here in Florida, no one really inherits a property, for example. So it may have to go through a probate process, which, as we know, it's lengthy and time consuming and can be costly too. So to know that ahead of time before you're under contract, again, it just makes for a smoother process for everyone involved.
Is there a cost for that pre-title search?
It's a value that we add to our real estate partners, so
Yeah.
It's definitely something we like to provide, again, just to make the closing experience more seamless for all parties.
Well, that was my next question, is common issues that come up. So
Oh, fun, yes.
what are some fun common issues that you find often?
No two files are ever the same, so that's what keeps it interesting when it comes to title insurance. So I would say common requirements to clear title would be, of course, like mortgage, homeowners associations, but common issues, each one is so different. So we could have a probate, we could have a tax IRS lien. What I tell people is the more information you can give us in the beginning, the smoother the process will be. A lot of times people are surprised at what comes back on title, and a lot of times they think, oh, they'll never find my child support that I never paid from 6 years ago, but it does attach to your home in some cases. So,
Right.
It can be a surprise, but also don't forget you never took a permit out for that, addition you put on your property. So these things do come up in title all the time.
The past due water bill.
Right.
We
Yep.
saw that, where a water bill
Utilities
from a
do
tenant.
come up on a pre-title search for sure.
Yep.
Most people don't know that.
Yep, any kind of recorded lien or judgment is going to come up on the title search.
The next question we have is, how does title insurance bring peace of mind to both parties in a transaction?
Well, when thinking of any kind of insurance policy, you have health insurance, you have car insurance. If you're like me, you have pet insurance. I know, Amanda, with your pets too. So all of the things that you hold near and dear to you that have either a monetary value or an emotional value, you're going to have some kind of insurance on it. Same with homeowners insurance. So you'll have homeowners insurance that protects your home, but what actually protects your rights and your ownership rights to your home? That's what the owner's title insurance policy does. So this is one of the biggest investments you'll make in your life as far as buying a home. So you're going to want to make sure that you have all of the ownership rights to that home, and that's what owner's title insurance does for you.
Now, I found out an interesting fact the other day, and I'm going off of this, but is that when somebody buys a house from auction, they don't get title insurance.
You get what you get.
Most people don't know that.
Right. So, and when you're buying something from auction, you're also inheriting all the liens and judgments that come with that too.
Bad taxes
Right.
and everything
Exactly.
like that.
Any unclaimed water bills, like we said earlier.
Open
things like
permits.
That. All the things. So again, I work with quite a few investors too. So that pre-search, that's what really comes in handy for them as well. Not necessarily that we would be able to clear the title, but at least it gives them an idea of what they're kind of getting into as far as, well, could I pay a couple of these liens down and it would still be worth my money? Yes. Or, oh, there's 3 mortgages on the property. No, that's not going to work for me.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Awesome. And then another question would be, can you share any unusual stories with us on how you resolve these title issues?
Yes. So
Maybe one in particular that really sticks out?
Yeah, big win.
I've
A
been
big
doing
win.
this for over 11 years now, so it takes a lot to surprise me, but that's not to say that it does not happen. So a name will pop up on the news, and it's like, oh, why does that sound familiar? Oh, we did their closing,
Yeah.
So, and like I said, I typically work here in Brevard County, so I don't want to give anyone's stories away, but I do work with quite a few people around the state as well. So I would say one of my friends' stories, they were in a closing, and it was a seller, and it was a husband and a wife, and the husband was very nervous. He was sweating. He was kind of, so she didn't know if it was just the situation. It's very emotional, as we know, to sell and buy homes. And the wife kept checking in with him. Are you okay? Is everything all right? They signed all of their paperwork. Everything was done, and he excused himself from the closing table to use the restroom. Well, some time had passed. They were kind of, didn't want to say anything. It's a little awkward, but eventually the wife went over and knocked on the restroom door. No answer. He ended up having a heart attack and passed away.
Oh my
after
goodness.
the closing. So the crazy part was the wife still wanted to go through with the sale of the property, and since he had already signed everything, it was kind of already a done deal.
Wow.
We kind of did look into it from the legal side of, was he signing under any kind of duress?
Right, yeah.
Or anything like that. The buyers wanted to go through with it still. So again, it's
So did you close it?
we closed it. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
It wasn't that same day because again we did have to
You
take
had
some
to-
legal avenues with that.
For
But
sure.
absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a killer business out there. What can I say, guys?
Yeah. Yeah.
And speaking of legal issues, does your office or the team of Celebration Title Group staff attorneys?
Absolutely. We do have an attorney on staff that is a Celebration Title Group employee. I myself am a licensed title agent, not to be confused with an attorney at all. But I do take those accredited classes to keep up to date with what's going on in title insurance, what's going on in real estate and everything too. So as much as I like to be that resource for you all too, I definitely do refer out to our attorney.
Sure.
Okay.
What do you recommend about surveys? Should they use the seller survey? Should they buy one?
I always
What's your
recommend a buyer getting a survey. So on a deal where there's financing involved, there's always going to be a survey that's required. However, if it's cash, the buyer is not required to get a survey. This is where I always tell them it's important for you to have a survey because with any insurance policy, there's going to be exceptions. So having a survey will remove some of those exceptions on the policy. Of course, buying any kind of piece of property, you're going to want to know where your lot lines are, where your utilities easements are. And if you want to do anything with the property later on, add a fence, add a pool, anything like that, you're going to want to know where you can do that. As far as using an existing survey, we do kind of vet out if it's applicable. So if the seller is gracious enough to provide an existing survey and they haven't changed what we call like the blueprint of the property, so they haven't added a fence, they haven't added a deck, so the property is still exactly the same as when they had that survey done. As far as title insurance goes, we can absolutely still use it. I would definitely get in touch with the buyer if they're getting financing on the property and make sure that their lender is okay with using an existing survey. Because
so is it case by case for lenders?
it would absolutely be case by case, yes. So some of them allow for existing surveys. Some lenders request that it gets recertified to the new buyer, so it has their client's contact information on the survey. It's accredited to them. But a lot of times those recertifications cost as much as a survey does too. So all in all, being in the insurance, world, I always err on the side of just get a new survey. It's not,
And the turnaround time currently for a survey we're not months.
No. And we work with several different survey companies that typically turn our surveys out pretty quickly, and it's a nominal fee. For a standard lot and block, we're seeing between like $300 and $400. So really worth it to know what exactly is going on with your property.
Our next question is, have you seen the change with technology and how it has affected title companies in your day-to-day work? Could you describe some of those changes with technology and how it's maybe helping us for the better, but at the same time maybe inhibiting?
Absolutely. So all of my answers were written by ChatGPT. No, I'm teasing. I am a robot. No, I would actually defer back even to like COVID times where title insurance, we used to be so archaic, so behind. Everything was so, just it took forever to get anything done. I feel like we were the slowest part of the real estate community to get caught up with everything. So once COVID hit, it really forced the title insurance community to kind of step it up as far as technology goes.
Interesting.
RON, which is what we call remote online notarization, has been a lot more popular. Of course, when we were in the COVID times and everyone was kind of locked down, title insurance was one of those necessities that we're still allowed to operate and do business, but how are we doing business when everyone's still in lockdown and you couldn't be near each other? So that really opened the doors to the remote online notarization so that we could do virtual closings. At Celebration Title, we have our own RON platform, so we can close virtually. This is extremely helpful when working with out-of-country clientele. They don't have to go to the embassies, pay all this extra money. Their wait times are wild. If you guys have worked with, out of country, foreign buyers, foreign sellers, these embassies are wildly, way behind as far as appointments go. So for one, I would definitely say the RON technologies have definitely improved the closing experience. And again, the AI, it's kind of like you have to kind of jump on board as opposed to being afraid of it. There's already so much fraud in our industry. So we really try to go the extra mile in vetting our clients. We jump on Zooms to talk to people right in the beginning. That way, when we get to the closing table, it's not a robot or a closing. It's an actual human. So again, it's just you take it with what you've got,
What advice would you give to home buyers or sellers to ensure a smooth title transition?
Communication is key. The more information you guys can tell us from the beginning, the easier the process will be. If you work full-time and you're only available from 12 to 1, let us know, and that's when we'll make our calls to you, because again, we do have to vet you out. There is information that we need to gather from you as the process goes on. And typically, like I said, the closing time frame is 30 days or sooner. So within those 30 days, if you can kind of prioritize buying or selling your home, that's going to be in your best interest, because if you're going on a cruise and we can't contact you,
get a hold of you,
or oh my gosh, you just adopted a puppy and you're trying to potty train your puppy, but we're also trying to sell your house, really think about your priorities during this time. And again, just let us know if you inherited a property or if you're in the middle of a divorce or any kind of situation like that. The sooner you can tell us,
right?
Because it will drastically affect your closing.
Well, a lot of people think that you guys are open 24/7 too, and they're not. You guys aren't. You guys have regular business hours, 9 to 5, and I had somebody like, "Oh, can we close at 8 p.m.?" No, we cannot. We can go before 5. You have to ask off for work. You picked the closing date. But.
Exactly. Yeah, we try to be as accommodating as we can with Celebration Title. Again, we do have those RON platforms, so if we can sign you virtually and that's what you prefer, absolutely. If we need to send a mobile notary out to you, again, we're happy to do that as well. But we do pride ourselves on our closing experience. So you're going to get that beautiful confetti closing. You're going to get a special gift from us as well. So, if we're closing you virtually, that's great. I can throw confetti at my computer screen. But other than that, we do like to see you and really celebrate this monumental moment with you.
Yeah, you guys do have a very unique closing experience, and if they haven't experienced it, it's pretty fantastic.
It makes it special, and
it does.
You know,
Memorable.
I'm a local here in Brevard, so to have these moments with my future neighbors, or you know, and run into somebody at a Publix and say, "Oh my gosh, Celebration Title, I closed with you. Watch my confetti video," and it's like, I know, I took that video.
Right.
That's awesome.
I know we tell our buyers, you know, and sellers to kind of hold back on the emotion, because at any time things can change and bumps in the road occur. But it's super nice that when they come to Celebration Title Group for the closing at the table, that it is a party.
Truly a party,
it's a party
and celebration.
and that chance to really let that emotion out and really celebrate with them. And that's
I love that you
amazing.
say that, Christine, because sometimes, you know, every transaction is different, and sometimes it calls for a celebration, sometimes not so much, but, you know, it can be very cathartic, I'll say that, to pop some confetti
Right.
after the whole situation.
For sure.
We have our last question is, how does Celebration Title Group stay up to date with the changing laws and regulations, you know, related to real estate and title transfers? I know recently, you know, you posted a lot about the changes with foreign principals. So how does that information reach you at Celebration?
Well, again, just being a licensed title agent, I do really pride myself on being up to date on any kind of changes that are going on within the industry. It's always been very fascinating to me. I've been in this industry for over 11 years now. So, yeah, it just keeps me interested that there's something that's always changing. Technology, properties, anything like that, I like to stay up to date about, because I do like being that resource, not just for my real estate agents, but for buyers and sellers, even my family members. Hey, what's going on with the market? You know, things like that. So it's nice to know what is going on, and yeah, any kind of legal changes that come down, as you mentioned, the foreign buyer principles, that specifically affects us here in Florida, which states that, you know, certain buyers can't buy certain properties within the state of Florida. So I like to know what that is. You know, I want to err on the side of course, we have to follow the laws, but where are my neighbors going to be at? You know, things like that. So again, having my title license, it really does allow me to stay on the forefront, take the classes, and stay knowledgeable about that. And then we have an amazing underwriter too, who also keeps us informed of everything that's going on.
Nice.
So somebody's checking to make sure that we're adhering to the foreign policy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. There's affidavits that are signed at closing. There's actually, the contract has changed to the standard as-is contract.
Yeah.
Yep, has a little block in there about the foreign buyers. And again, at the closing table, you sign an affidavit of if you're affiliated with any of those groups of people and all of that fun stuff.
Right.
So right now, it's actually still in litigation. I think the ACLU has it in some kind of litigation, so it might be on pause at the moment. We're waiting to hear back on that.
Sure.
But ever changing, our industry.
It is ever changing. You have any suggestions on wire fraud? It's such a huge topic.
Yes, it really is. So
How do we keep our buyers safe?
Yeah, just knowledge. Knowledge is power, and just informing people. I always like to say, inquire before you wire. So before you make any kind of
That's
wire.
a great
right?
statement.
You know, I was a kindergarten teacher before, so anything
Were you
like
really?
this.
Oh, that's great. I bet you were an awesome
It
kindergarten
was
teacher.
fun.
Yeah.
So the real estate classes I teach are still very much of, okay, take out your crayons, you know, let's do this, guys. So if you hear me talking fast, it's because I taught 5-year-olds, and their attention span is about 5 minutes. So
Yeah.
here we are.
Well, I had Jason Pantana tell me not to talk slow because I
okay.
sound robotic. So if that's the way you are, you're like me. We just talk fast.
It's a lot of
And who
cadence.
cares if they have
Yeah.
to watch the video 3 times?
I'm
It just
like-
helps our analytics.
The worst part is the talk to text. So it's like, hi, and it's H-I-I-I-I, I'm Siri. We're not that excited. Let's
Dial it back, Siri.
But yeah, as far as wire fraud goes, it's definitely something that's affected our industry tremendously. I would say it's not even just the buyers' proceeds or the seller's proceeds, but it's the real estate commissions that are being sought after as well. I think everyone's had that email from a Nigerian prince, right?
Yes. Yes.
I get them all the time. They want to buy $5 million properties
Don't you love
with
that?
cash.
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, when you're at the bank, my biggest suggestion would just be to call the institution that you're wiring the money to and confirm their wiring instructions. Some red flags to be on the lookout for, of course, is any kind of change in wiring instructions. So if you're within the process of closing and you get an email, the email may look legit. I mean, they are really great at scamming people nowadays. The emails aren't even off. They copy the signature blocks and everything.
Wow.
But if you're in the closing process and you get an email that says, hey, our wiring instructions have been updated, please use this. Red flag, number one, call the company. Don't call the real estate agent. Their email might be compromised. Don't call your lender. Their email might be compromised. Don't email anybody. Emails are compromised. Physically pick up the phone and talk to a human and make sure that that's actually what the wiring instructions are.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
Inquire before you wire.
Yes, inquire before you wire.
And I guess that ties into the last question. It is a collaboration. So could you kind of go into more detail about how important the collaboration is between the title company and all of the partners to get the clients to the closing table?
Yeah, like I said, we're the chaos coordinators at the title company.
Yes.
So, and what I have to remind people sometimes is, hey, we're all in the same boat. We're all going to the same destination. Some of us may be rowing a little bit slower than others, but our all same goal is to get everyone to the closing table as best as we all can do that. So
I agree.
There's so many moving pieces. If you're a first-time home buyer, you may not understand or know how many different people, how many different hands are in a file. As your real estate agents, you guys are with the clients a lot longer than we are. So you being the trusted resource and referring out to partners and having your set people as far as title and lenders and surveyors go, it's really important to have those partners in place and to trust the people that you work with to know that everyone's looking out for your best interests.
Yes, absolutely.
I agree. Well, is there anything else that we haven't touched on that you think is super important for people to know?
As far as title insurance, definitely just work with people that are trusted, that have been in the business for a while. You always want to make sure that you're working with people who, if you have a question later on, you can pick up the phone and call them and they're not going to be out of business or they're not, a fly-by-night title company. There's a lot of great companies in town. I definitely do pride myself on being more of the experience for the buyers and the sellers like we touched on earlier. And just, if you're a seller, there's different discounts that you can have. If you're a buyer, if you're a first responder, things like that, definitely explore and talk to your trusted real estate agents, Amanda and Christine, and just see what the best benefits are for you guys out there.
Yeah.
Yes, and thank you again for the reminders about homestead exemption.
Yes.
So then we could reach out to all of our buyers from 2023 and the years prior to make sure that they remembered the deadline that's coming up.
March 1st is the deadline if you've bought a house in the last year as your primary residence. Definitely make sure you file for that homestead exemption. If you have portability that would take into effect, you can also apply for that at the same time as well. If you're a seller and you've recently purchased your house within the last 3 years and you're thinking about making a change and moving, you'd also be eligible for a reissue credit. So that'll be a great discount on your title policies. Refinancing, you also get reissue credit. So yeah, there's a lot of different things out there that's beneficial for you as far as title insurance goes.
Totally awesome.
Excellent.
Yay!
Thank you so much for coming today.
Thanks, guys. I had so much fun.